Charlie Daniels, and you're with Backstage Access. You'll learn a lot. Stay here.
We'd worked ourselves senseless, out busting fences and driving dry cattle, no water in sight.
Hey, this is Chris with Backstage Access, and you just can't talk about Southern rock without mentioning one of the originators of the genre, Charlie Daniels. With a new album in tow called Nighthawk and his recent Country Hall of Fame induction, we are honored and pleased to have with us today the one and only Charlie Daniels. Welcome, Charlie, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us today at Backstage Access. We appreciate it so much.
Well, it's my pleasure, darling. Glad to be talking to you.
Now, you just released Nighthawk. It's a great collection of cowboy songs, and this album was done without drums or any electronic instruments. But in general terms, how do you approach making a record nowadays?
Well, it depends on the record, actually. This particular one was a special kind of a record. I have actually been collecting songs for this thing for a couple of decades, really. I had always wanted to do a real cowboy song about, when I say real cowboy, I'm talking about the boys that make their living working cattle rather than the gunfighters and that sort of people. So I kept, every time I found a song through the years that fit with what I wanted to do, I'd put it aside, and finally I got enough to do it. So I went in and did it.
Great. Now, the album starts off with the Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys tune, Big Balls in Cowtown. Were you trying to make a statement there with that one?
Yeah, I was just playing music. That's a big cowboy dance song.
Right.
I mean, that's one that, a lot of the old bands of Bob Wills and Whole Necks and all the guys, that's one that if you go to, we're playing a dance in West Texas with all the cowboys or something, that's one of the ones they'd be wanting to hear.
And what about redoing some of the songs, Billy the Kid, Yippee-Ki-Yay?
There were just songs that I felt fit on this album. There were tunes that I had written and recorded.
Right.
Well, Billy the Kid, Yippee-Ki-Yay, both those songs. And it was just songs that I felt would fit good on this album. I felt it still kind of fit the working cowboy mold. And I was just whatever songs. When I got 10 songs that I felt would make this album complete, I just went in and did it. I've been waiting a long time to do it, and I finally got around to it. So as soon as I had 10 good tunes, I went in and did it.
Great. Now, I wanted to congratulate you, too, on being inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame this year. Don't you think it was
Thank you very much.
Don't you think it was long overdue?
Well, no. I mean, something to be honest with you about it. I probably appreciate it more now than I would if it happened back when I was 30 years old or something like that. I just, at this time of life, I'll be 80 in October. And at this time of life, accolades like that, and this one is a really major league accolade of all the stuff I've had through the years, the things that I've won. This is the one you don't even dream about because you have no way of controlling whether it happens or don't. You just have to hope that one of these days somebody or a bunch of people will walk into a room and one of them will raise their hand and say, let's put Charlie Daniels in the Country Music Hall of Fame, and enough hands will go in there to get it done. That's the only way it happens. It didn't happen the other way.
Right.
And there's nothing you can do to influence it. That's just how it is. And to have it happen at this time in my life was very special. And
Sure.
I am, to be honest with you, I've been asked, how I felt about it taking a long time and everything. I feel good about it. I think it was something that it came along to me at a great time because it's such a wonderful accolade and it's something I am so happy to have received and to be able to live in when it happened,
Right. And now there's going to be an exhibit in your honor, the Million Mile Reflections, and that opens soon on September 23rd. Do you have any idea what we can expect out of the exhibit?
I really don't. I'm going next Tuesday, actually. I'm going down to do the press part of it. There is a press gathering that the folks at music press and the people, local press, get to come in and kind of, get a little head start on it. And
Sure.
I won't see it until then.
Okay.
But the thing is, to me, I was in a museum before we had a museum downtown, and we lost the lease to a bar or something. car that came in or something. So what was interesting to me about that was watching the way somebody else viewed your life. In other words, they take the elements of what you had available, that you had the artifacts of your life, and then put them together in a certain way. And it's interesting to see how somebody else's concept of your life is. And the folks at the Country Music Hall of Fame are really professionals. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing how they view my life, at what parts of my life they'll give the most importance to, and that sort of thing.
Sure. It sounds great, and I'm sure fans will be wanting to check that out as soon as they get an opportunity to do so as well. Now, you mentioned you have an 80th birthday coming up, so a little bit early, but happy birthday nonetheless.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, and you're going to have the 80th birthday volunteer jam in Nashville.
Yes.
And we're going to have a lot of people there, Travis Tritt, Chris Stapleton, Kid Rock, and you've been doing these shows to raise funds for military families. Can you talk a little bit about the show and how you got involved in doing this?
Well, the show started out in 1974 as a live recording session. We were doing an album called On the Mountain.
Okay.
And we wanted to do 3 songs live. And we scheduled it at Memorial Auditorium in Nashville. And we did it, and it just kind of took on a life of its own. It was very obvious that we needed to do it again and again and again. So we did for, gosh, I don't know how many years we did it in a row before we finally stopped doing it every year. We still do it. We just don't do it every year.
Okay.
We did one last year. We're going to do one this year. So it's a celebration of life and music. We have all kinds of, we've had everything, every kind of music you think of there. We've had classical violinists. We had Woody Herman and his big band one year. I mean, just, it's just about music.
And speaking of music, today's country music, what are your thoughts on country music today?
Well, I don't want to be critical at all, because when we first came along, we were considered to be pretty outlandish and renegade. But the only criticism that I would have, I don't mean it as a criticism, it's just an observation, is that a lot of it sounds the same to me.
Right.
I can't tell a lot of times one artist from the other. I can't tell one song from the other. But they're being very successful with it, so I can understand why they stayed with it. But as far as me personally speaking, I don't really listen to a lot of it.
Okay. Now, I know you're very patriotic. I've seen your social media updates and things like that. So I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on this current trend of football players and other professional athletes taking a knee for the national anthem?
Well, I just think I think they're, what they're protesting is, I can understand the protests that they're doing, but I think they can find a better place to do it. I don't think I think it's causing, to be honest with you about it, I think it causes more dissension than it does good. I think that there are other places. People, as well known as Colin Kaepernick, could do more by calling a press conference and actually getting people to come and cover it, because when you do that, regardless of whether you mean it that way or you don't mean it that way, you're actually, people perceive it as disrespecting everything about America, including our own forces, who are still some of them in harm's way. And it's just like, it really, certain people say, well, it's okay. Certain people say it ain't. But I mean, everybody has pretty much a feeling about it. I don't think it's really accomplished. If he wants to accomplish something, I think he'd be better off in a press conference format. And he could do whatever he wanted to. But I just do not see that as being anything that's going to do anybody any good.
Right. Understood. I appreciate your thoughts on that.
Thank you.
Best of luck with Nighthawk. It's a fantastic collection, and I'm sure everybody who's listening to it is enjoying it as well.
Thank you.
And good luck with the opening at the Country Music Hall of Fame and the exhibit. I'm sure we're all going to look forward to seeing that when we get a chance to check it out.
Well, I hope so. It'll be there for quite a while, so if you get to Nashville, give it a look.
I definitely will. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you, dear.
It was an honor and a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you, ma'am.
Bubba went down to Georgia, he was